Welcome to Digimon.
Hey guys, welcome to Digimon, and we've got something a little different for you this time around. Thank you for clicking the video, and if you do like the content you're seeing, if you would give us a like and subscribe, that would be phenomenal for the channel, and it will keep you up to date on any profiles and future videos we have going forward as well. I'm going to give you something a little different this time around, as a deck dubbed Bugs Bunnies. It's literally what you think it says on the tin. It is something a little different. It's not something that is really complete yet, but you could argue that when we do get some further pieces for the deck, overall, they are just going to be going to their respective decks in the Bunnies and then the Bugs. But this is something that I quite liked, just toying around with, something a little different. And if you've clicked the video, then you're interested. I hope you stick around. And let us know in the comments if there is any other suggestions you've got for this deck. But let's just crack right on with it. Straight away, I'm going to show you the eggs. We are running 4 of Motimon BT15. The reason we play this is the reason that this deck is live in the first place. Is the end of turn. If this has Insectoid trait, it may attack an opponent's Digimon, and that's really what I wanted to play around with this. Overall, the bunny side of this deck got some really great support, which really fills up your board and gives you more toys to play with. I wanted to end some of these stacks at the 5s and 6s with some insects to be able to get a little bit more aggression in there. And that's where Motimon comes in. So if we didn't have Motimon, we wouldn't be able to pay those the memory for those Digivolutions and then be able to get a swing in before passing the turn. So that's why we play the Motimon. Going in with the level 3s, this is where the Bunnies kicks in. We run 4 copies of the ST17 Lotmon. This one I'm not as big a fan on. Really the main reason we play it is because the the main effect, once per turn, to give something Alliance, does come in handy with some of the effects we have. We actually benefit from having some of our Digimon be suspended and being able to create a single stack of whether it's a level 4 or a 5, being able to swing for 2 checks with more DP. It really comes in handy. I don't know if I'm going to be cutting this down to potentially 2 to make room for the Terriermon X's, but we'll come back to that when we get the cards released. Speaking of Terriermon, we do run the 4 ST17 Terriermon. It is basically just the bunny package. I recognise Terriermon as a dog. Bear with, we're just calling them bunnies. The main effect once per turn, play a green tamer or level 3 with Lotmon in name with 2 less is really helpful. But really what we play these for is the inheritable of when it's suspended, gain 1,000. As I said, we do have some swings. You are able to attack before passing your turn. So being able to make sure you've got an additional DP to run over your opponent's Digimon, really put the aggression on them, run into their Digimon, suspend them, delete them, give piercing where possible as well. That's really where you need to make sure you've got your DP boost, that you have the capacity to run over those Digimon. Keeping with the Terriermons, we are running 2 of each of the EX2 and the BT3. I am tempted just to drop the BT3 for 2 more of the EX2. I'm not a fan of the BT8 one because it does only add a Gargmon, a Rapidmon. While you do have those targets, I'd rather keep the searches to the options we run in this deck and the Digimon themselves to be enhancing your plays. So the your turn effect of the EX2 you don't trigger as often because we're only running 5 tamers in this deck, but if you are able to pull it off, if you get your double Typhoon trigger to place it on the board, then play a tamer, just draw a card, gain a memory off that, so it just makes it a little bit cheaper. But really, the inheritable of when an opponent's Digimon comes suspended, this gains 2k. That does trigger a few times, and it's essentially if you haven't been able to get a Terriermon ST17 or Lotmon beneath it, then this Terriermon is at least going to go live later on with your stack, depending on which level 4 and 6 you are using. The BT3, as I said, it's one of the original floodgates. All turns, your opponent can't gain memory except by tamer effects. It can come up. Overall, I don't like the idea of having just a floodgate just sit there, be a target. I would rather, thinking about it, have another Terriermon when we get that. That might even be Terriermon X as of BT16. So 2 Terriermon X, keep the 4 ST17, maybe change a couple of Lotmons into EX2. We'll see when we get there. But for the time being, that is 12 Digimon, mostly Terriermons. And the reason we want the Terriermons is, you probably guessed it, so that we can make our main Digivolution cheaper. And that Digivolution being going into Rapidmon. I recognise a lot of you will probably think, isn't this just yellow-green, yellow vaccine armour? Unfortunately, a lot of decks are going to see some similarities. Unfortunately, the Rapidmons are just very, very good. Terriermons have got some really cool inheritables, and the reason we want to prioritize the BT8 is when you Digivolve, suspending your opponent's Digimon for each tame you've got in play. Even just suspending one Digimon, you're then able to set up your Motimon end of turn inheritable by then, making sure you've got memory, Digivolve on top of Rapidmon, get a swing in. You've suspended a Digimon already, so that you are able to do that. You are able to then weaken up to 3 of your opponent's Digimon. 5k is a really good DP reduction. You can wipe out a lot of 3s and 4s in the game, but at the very least, suspending something, making it weaker. If you don't have the inheritables ready to increase your DP, you'll be running over them regardless. Speaking of the Rapidmons, as I mentioned, it's going to look very similar to some other decks coming out. That's why I wanted to change it up and run this with an Insectoid package as well. But with the Bunny baseline because of the new cards. The new Rapidmon is very, very good as well. It's a little bit more offensive than the Rapidmon BT8. I like BT8 because, as we said before, it suspends your opponent's Digimon, but this one also, when you suspend, whether it's in your turn or your opponent's, you want your opponent's Digimon and all their security, you get minus 4k. So you are weakening them. This does mean that your 7k Rapidmon with a Terriermon, a Lotmon beneath it, make that 8k, you're able to at least crash into 12 DPs into your opponent's security, because you'll be reducing them by 4. Then you armor purge, so you still linger. The other 2 of the level 4 lineup is just 2 copies of Gargamon. I am tempted to swap this out for a couple of Insectoids I was thinking about. I really like the look of EX1 Kabuterimon, which I believe has got the effect to Digivolve when you swing. I'll have to double check that one. The reason we run this still is because when we do suspend it, whether it's with Alliance or if it has been able to swing, we can give something jamming. But the other reason we really want to play it is because of the inheritable, again, of while it's suspended, get 1000 DP. Just making our level 5s and 6s a lot bigger and a lot more of a threat, being able to run over more of your opponent's Digimon. So that is it for the 3s and 4s. As you can see, it is mostly the Bunny package. I've done my best to balance this out amongst the 2 themes. But unfortunately, I still need to run the ST17 Rapidmons. I've dropped this down to 3 copies just to make room for another insect in a minute. But the on-play when digivolving to de-digivolve something is very, very helpful. If you've seen the Machinedramon deck profile that we've done recently, we've run a copy of this in there as well, because de-digivolve is a huge threat to opponents at the moment. But we actually do get to have the additional effect go through of, if you have a green tamer until the end of your opponent's turn, your opponent's effects can't delete this Digimon or return it to the hand or deck. Having that go live with some of your level 6s, if you have gone into Rapidmon without passing turn, you can then digivolve into your big insects at the end, swing, and be immune to a lot of effects when you swing. And then you get to trigger your inheritable as well, which if you run over a Digimon, you trash security. So I really like Rapidmon for the top level 6s you'll see shortly. But the Insectoids of the deck, we are running 3 copies of BT8 Climbmon. This is a really interesting one. I saw this in a deck profile, saw in Japan, that was live during the release of Double Typhoon. It's an interesting one. It's when digivolving, if this Digimon is suspended, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with DP less than or equal to this to the opponent's hand. Now that's why you really like all the inheritables to gain additional DP when you're suspended. So your Lotmon will then make that a 9k. If you haven't got the Lotmon, you've got the Terriermon, makes it 9k. If you have been able to trigger BT8 Rapidmon, and instead of the ST17 package, you have the EX2. If you've got EX2 Terriermon into BT8 Rapidmon, you've gained an additional 2000 DP there. So this Climbmon's going to be at least 9 or 10k, which does still remove quite a large number of cards in the game at the moment. Even if you just happen to digivolve this one onto the Alliance target you've had, something you've suspended just so that your other Digimon can swing for more, there's a lot of ways to save memory in this deck, reduce Digivolutions, that you can afford to just leave 2 5s on the board. If you swung with this, you can then go, actually, this Gargamon I've suspended because I gave something else jamming, I'll just digivolve into this, bounce something. Because the inheritable can come up as well. Including your opponent's, saying your opponent's turn. You can have this ready by your opponent's turn with the 6s I'll show you shortly. Speaking of opponent's turn, the last 2 insects in the deck are BT15 Mega Copy Terramon Ace. I really like this one. I really like that it's an on-play when digivolving. One of your Digimon gets 3k to the end of your opponent's turn. But the great thing with this one is it works really well with the inheritance, which is stated to, if you're suspended, you gain an additional 1,000. Give it another 3k when you play into it. Digivolve into it if you do blast at your opponent's turn. So that way you can force your opponent to attack into this with its effect, and you'll be roughly 11,000. You might even be more. And when it is suspended, similar to the rest of the Copy Terramon line in BT15, is you are unaffected by your opponent's Digimon's effects. And that's pretty cool. That one's really, really cool. If you are able to, I haven't seen it, but there are some other opposing aces that can threaten you. One of the big ones at the moment is Mega Gargomon Ace at my locals. We've been talking about it a lot. I play a lot myself. And so being able to declare oh no, I'll go this swing into you. I've given it a DP boost by various means. Your opponent can Mega Gargo, but they can't suspend you. They can't do anything else. Or there are other, say, a Zulongmon Ace gets played, bounce to level 5 or lower. No, we can't do that. You will just declare cool, I'll swing, and you can block it if you want, whatever you're going to do. I really like the Copy Terramon line of if you're suspended, just make yourself immune to Digimon effects. It's really cool, and it's why I really want to give this a go, to give them the big DP boosts, to use Alliance to hit your opponent for more, suspend their Digimon, to swing over more Digimon, and with the level 6s, you can also gain piercing with one of my favourite Digimon, is Hercules Kabuterimon. This is the BT15 version. Reason I like this is if it does happen to stick around, you have a start a main phase effect on top of when digivolving to suspend just one of your opponent's Digimon, and then one of your Digimon gains piercing for the rest of the turn. So if you have had the ability to suspend your opponent's Digimon with the Rapidmons, Rapidmon BT8s, you happen to save memory when you digivolve up, you can then declare, no, I'll digivolve into this to give you memory, pass for turn. Motimon then triggers, allow me to swing. Not only do you suspend something else, but you can just give yourself piercing, swing through multiple checks, especially if you've given it Alliance previously as well for the additional security attack +1/+2. It's a really fun card. It still has, like Mega Copy Terramon Ace, when it's suspended, isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. I really like this card. I really wish that the Hercules Copy Terramon X was decent and actually worked with these cards. Something that, like what we got with Goldramon X coming out in BT16, works really well with the previous Goldramons. This one did not get the same treatment, which is a real shame. But I love this card, and I really had fun playing this deck, and this is one of the main reasons for it. One of my other favourite insects that I've been using since the debut of the game is Bancho Stingmon. This one's really cool. Inherently, it already has piercing, and when attacking, if you attack an opponent's Digimon that's got 12k or more, this gains 7,000 DP and security attack +2. So right now, that's not an impossible task. Being able to see an opponent with their level 6 out hitting 12,000 more, it's like, I'm going to run over you. Even if they've, for some reason, got a big blocker, if you've got, say, some Magnamon X BT16 in your way, you're able to give this a 7k, which means it will just go to 16 on its own, but with your inheritables and with some of your effects, you can get larger and larger. So you can get 3k from the Mega Copy Terramon Ace, you can get a boost from your, if you've suspended something, get 2k from Terramon. If not that, then you've got 1,000 from Terramon or Lotmon ST17. So that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 2,000, sorry, 20,000 DP. You'll notice in a lot, in quite possibly a few of our videos that we'll be discussing Magnamon X. It is a topic on everyone's mind at the moment. It is a big deal. I will be playing it because I'm a big armor player, but it is something that in a lot of decks we're going like, but can you go over this? This deck quite possibly can. You might even want to bump up Bancho Stingmon to 2 copies. And in fact, I might even do that just to keep with the insect top. But for the time being, as much as it pains me, because this is a painful card, but it is a very good card, is the top bunny itself, or dog, if you will, Mega Gargomon Ace. There's another Blast Digivolve, I don't need to explain that, but it does have Blocker and Reboot with an effect of when Digivolving and end of attack, you may unsuspend this Digimon. So if you happen to swing, 1 check, unsuspend, swing again, 2 checks, opponent's turn, you reboot, and you've got a 12k blocker. When you Digivolve as well, and either player's turn, suspend 2 of their Digimon or Tamers, and then 2 of their, just any other 2 Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend or Digivolve until the end of their turn. So if your opponent decides like, no, let me just rush you, gain a memory, or have something get deleted so I get a draw, whatever their reasoning was, if they happen to just go like, cool, I'm going to just do a swing, do you want to redirect? I'm like, no, I'm going to go into that, suspend 2 of your other Digimon, they're not Digivolving this turn. It has happened, it has come up, it is pretty cool. But even outside of those situations, just being able to go like, no, those 2 aren't swinging, and I'll block this one, even if potentially it gets deleted, you've tapped 2 other cards, so they're not swinging. It's a huge, huge surprise wall. I say surprise. I think if you're staring down a level 5 green or black, just assume they've got Mega Gargamon Ace in hand. It will come up. It's a very, very good card. Very good card. I love this card, and at the same time, I hate this card. But that is it for the 6s. If you wanted to keep, if you want to give this a go yourself, I probably would suggest maybe dropping the Mega Gargamon Ace for the sake of keeping this insect line. And I could potentially go 2 Banjo Sting, 3 Hercules Copyteramon. I don't like Hercules at 4 because you don't need to see it all the time. Ideally, you're aggressive enough. The 1 or 2 you can get will do some damage. But give it a go and let me know what you think. Moving on to our options, you can probably predict what we're going to be playing. We're playing the ST17 Double Typhoon, just revealing the top 3 cards of your deck to add any green Digimon card and a green Tamer is very, very good. The fact they made this generic enough, just with the difference being it has a delay to play a Terramon or Lotmon from hand, is so good. It's so good. It's the reason why I've seen many decks that are just going like, I'm going to run the Terramon Lotmon level 3 package, but run any other green deck I want to play. It's just generic enough, and the Terramons are good. The Lotmon is good, and we're getting more of them. So this is a card that I think is going to stick around for a good long while. It's a fun card, and they're just adorable as well. The other 4 options we are running are agility trainings. This one doesn't need any explanation. When you reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, add any 2 green cards among them. In this, they're all green. They're all green. That's it. That's all it is. The delay, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a green for its Digivolution cost reduced by 2. That's it. Very, very good card. And we've just got more searching in this deck. And that's exactly why I don't play the BT8 Terramon, just to find basically the level 4s and 2 of the level 5s. I'm running a one-off of Super Shocker. This is a really cool card. Just 2 costs to suspend 1 level 6 or lower Digimon is really, really cool. Back in the day, you had to meet certain requirements to just suspend anything. And even some of them were just like, no, suspend a level 3 or level 4 or lower. This one, just suspend a level 6 or lower. And then one of your Digimon with Sectoid gets 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. Which is why we run the top end. So you can just say like, yeah, it's going to pass a turn. Motimon says I can attack. Go over anything. Really cool card. I'm only playing at the 1 though, because you don't need it all the time. If anything, I may even just take it out for an additional Tamer in a moment. Speaking of, I do have to apologise. I am running a quick proxy of 1 card. I have gone digging and I've lost one of my cards from my deck, but we do run 3 Willis from BT8. On play, it's just hatching your breeding, which we want to do as soon as possible to get more level 3s out, more level 4s out, and really give us more Digimon to work with. And every time you go into Gargamon or Rapidmon, you do reduce the cost by 1. And then finally is Mimi to, if you've got a level 5 or higher, to bring out one of your Digimon from raising or hatch. And that is it. That is the deck. That is Bugs Bunnies. It's a little kooky. It's a little cool, but I'm really, really enjoying this one. If you've got any suggestions, please let us know. But besides that, please give us a like and subscribe, and keep it digital. Have a good one.